Coming to you from the last video store in the universe, it's the penultimate Binge Movies ranking episode. I'm Jason, and this is the show that ranks and eliminates movies, determine which ones are most worthy of preservation for all time, even beyond the end times. And on this episode, we'll be ranking high concepts, low budgets. The chicken salt that I am needs offset by the fairy bread that is this man. White bread, butter, and sprinkles. That's what Paul is. He brings the savory, the sweet, and he pops it in your mouth.
Only for special people.
When's the last time you had fairy bread, Paul?
Probably not as long ago as you might think, given that every so often at a previous workplace, there would be once a year a kids' party themed lunch. So someone would inevitably bring in fairy bread.
Gotcha. When's the last time you had chicken salt?
6 weeks ago.
Do you have some in your pantry as we speak?
No, we don't. I think that's an oversight.
I see.
It should be corrected. Yeah.
Get on that. Yes. That demands correction. Yes.
Yeah.
You have to. You have to remedy that as soon as possible. We're going to be talking about a bunch of movies where really a bunch of people went out and did what you did when you made Reap.
Yes. Just therefore, what a guest host to have on this episode. How appropriate. Except
why isn't Reap on this list?
Because it was made for even a fraction of what these ones were made, and also because it's shit. And
okay, if somebody's like, I don't know who these guys are, but I really like Coherence, so I tune into this podcast. You're an Australian podcaster from Australia, which means It's already 2026 where you are.
Pretty close.
And you hosted and still semi-regularly host a part-time, used to be full-time podcast called The Countdown. And that podcast was one of the most successful independent podcasts in Australian history.
I don't know if that part's true. It went okay. Yes.
Yes, it did. Okay. And we've been doing this together now for close to 10 years, if not 10 years. And you're probably the most frequent guest in the history of the show.
Do I take that honor? Must be close.
Yeah, you have to be. Maybe we'll just put every episode that you're on it in order and just put it out on the feed
and see.
The Paul years.
And if this is the penultimate ranking episode, and this is my last appearance, then is there any chance we could kick this off with a previously on Binge Movies?
Oh my God. 10 years worth of clips to get everybody caught up. Penultimate ranking episode. Last appearance remains to be seen.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah.
Hold on to your hats, dear listener.
Yeah. That remains to be seen. Okay. So you also were a one-time aspiring filmmaker?
Yeah, I fancied myself a writer.
Yeah.
Less an actual filmmaker, but when you're doing it on zero budget amongst basically your friends.
Yeah.
If you're not going to direct it, no one else is going to step up and do it for you. So
correct. Yes. So does that mean you've garnered a reputation over the last nearly 15 years of semi-internet celebrity in certain circles of being very negative consistently?
Sure.
Yeah,
or I don't know, negative, critical.
Yes.
Yeah.
Negatron.
Negatron. Negatron is the running gag on The Countdown, yes?
Yes. And then I have bombarded you, not just on this show, but we went and did another show where we watched I don't want to say almost all, because when I gave you the original spreadsheet, it was hundreds and hundreds.
It was massive. It was impossible to do it.
You're right. But we've had a good cross-section of maybe a quarter of the slashers that were released globally from 1980 to 1989.
Feels about right.
And you don't like most of those either. because they're low budget movies made by incompetent filmmakers.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say, as a collective group, you're the three of us on the slashers. Obviously, Megan not represented here today.
Yeah,
she's done the middle ground. You're forgiving, except when you're not. Because when you're not forgiving, this is the thing that people may have realized about you, Jason. When you go hard, you go harsher than me. You're like straight at the jugular. You're tearing out that throat. You're ripping the head off and holding the spinal column of that film above your head, waving it around like a predator.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. But you're more forgiving of most of these backwood slashers, for example, than I am.
Yeah. This is true. So I have no idea which way this one's going to go, because part of me thinks you're going to sympathize as a one-time filmmaker and screenwriter, and the other part of me feels like Negatron's going to show up and trash 3/4 of this list. I'm not sure if that's going to hold true, though.
I'm going to hold my cards close to my chest so we can play out in real time, not just for you, but for the binge lords as well.
Yes. Very good. Very good. That's called good podcasting.
That's podcasting.
That's right. Every once in a while, we dust off the old abilities that we used to have, Paul. We're not as good as we once were, but one time we'll be as good as we ever were. And that's this time, baby. This is going to be a Paul and Jason classic. Last time I said that, I think that's the best episode we've ever done. And you said, I don't know about that.
On brand.
All right.
It's working!
Robert Rodriguez, 23 years old, goes off into the desert with $7,000.
Incredible.
And makes a movie that gets a 91% on Rotten Tomatoes, El Mariachi.
He came to town with a guitar in his hand and romance in his heart. He wasn't looking for trouble, but trouble came looking for him. Critics are calling El Mariachi one of the most astonishing directing debuts in a decade. An amazing film, a movie miracle. El Mariachi, rated R.
Of course, written and directed by Rodriguez. It was released September 15th, 1992, TIFF, and then 93 at Sundance, and then 93 in the United States. It eventually got picked up by, was it Columbia Pictures?
Columbia, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And they put like $200,000 into it to do the post-production work, and it ended up making $2 million. And there was a world in which Robert Rodriguez was going to be the next great auteur, and then Quentin Tarantino showed up in 1994.
But they're mates, right? They like each other, or at least they used to.
Yeah, I think they get along. But you have to look at it and go, what if? Because I don't think anything about Robert Rodriguez's career panned out the way I would have thought it would after El Mariachi, and then he remakes it with more resources, and Salma Hayek, which is all the resources you needed. And Anthony or Antonio Banderas, which depending on how you swing, is also all the resources you need. Two of the sexiest people who've ever fucking lived, and remakes the movie with better screenplay, better budget, better everything.
Better action scenes.
Better action scenes. And so that becomes Desperado. And you're thinking, okay, this guy is going to be like the Mexican-American John Woo. This guy is going to be the next great action director. And it didn't really happen.
No, because then he Spy Kidded his way out of that discussion.
Yeah, but okay, so I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. So he did a segment of Sin City, right?
Yes, yeah, he did all of it. I mean, yes, he directed Sin City with Frank Miller as co-creditor.
Yes. Okay, so Sin City, he did
The Faculty.
Spy Kids. He did The
Faculty, and then he obviously did From Dusk Till Dawn, which was him and Tarantino collaborating. And so those first four, Sin City's after the Spy Kids start.
Yeah.
But those other four are before the Spy Kids, I believe.
Now, we have to acknowledge the fact that like there's a generation even below me, and you're 4 or 5 generations ahead of me. There's a generation beneath me that Spy Kids is special to them because they grew up with it. That was their Shark Boy, Lava Girl, and Spy Kids, and all these movies that we looked at and went, what the fuck happened to the guy from Dust Till Dawn? He's making this slop for his kids, I guess.
Yeah.
It's huge. It's huge with a giant swath around the world. So I don't want to discredit that at all, right? Those movies don't work for me. I worked at a movie theater at the time that Spy Kids 3D came out.
Yeah,
whatever year that was. And I
2003.
I had to watch the end of that fucking movie like 30 times because I would be out sweeping the empty theater of the popcorn.
But then they're all, as you say, they're all hits. They're all made for between 35 and 40 million, and the second one didn't make quite as much, but they all make around about 150 million each of those three. So
I mean, that's a hell
hits.
of a return, right?
Yep.
He does Alita Battle Angel with James Cameron.
Yep.
Producing it and being really involved. And if James Cameron has basically said, hey, if I wasn't doing all these Avatar movies for the last 25 years, I think he and I would be pumping out a bunch of more of Alita Battle Angels. Because he's like, we've made a vow to each other that we're going to make another one. And okay. And the thing about it is, he's delivered consistently financially.
Yes.
For his movies, for the most part. I think Once Upon a Time in Mexico was probably a little bit of a flop, but still, he's consistently delivered above his budgets. He does original.
Even that one makes 3 times his budget back, so it's a success.
There you go. He's an original screenwriter, or he pairs with screenwriters who are doing original, oftentimes genre work, and he's been in the business now for almost 35 years, and I feel like he has yet to deliver on the promise that we saw when we watched El Mariachi.
I think his 2 best films are in those first before he's 30 years old. It's Desperado and From Dusk to Dawn for me. Now, From Dusk to Dawn is exactly my sensibility, so I can see why that one's not one of his most favored, because if you're not wired the way I'm wired, a crime film that turns into a bloody vampire film may not be for you.
Yeah. A very bloody comic book vampire.
Very silly. Yeah. It's very silly in the way it's sort of, that's a lot of, I think, Rodriguez's.
He does Predators, right? Which I talked about with.
No, he didn't direct that. That was Anton Nimrod or something like that is his name.
He produced it. But he presented it.
Yes.
Right. Yep. And I know he had a TV network in the States for a while called El Rey, which was actually a pretty cool network. It was like it was like one of those cable channels you get that it's in the 1000s. And its biggest claim to fame is he also helped produce a pretty innovative wrestling show called Lucha Underground, which was pretty cool. So he's had his hand in a lot of stuff. And the only thing I can think of is I know that ownership of what he does is really important to him. He doesn't really want to just make studio films.
Mm-hmm.
And he wants creative freedom. He's willing to take the risks himself financially and creatively. But you have to look at his track record and go, from this very first movie as a boy, they've kind of delivered. So I don't know.
We get all the way down to Hypnotic. Do you remember that Ben Affleck film?
Oh, that one's bad. That's bad.
That was his first big. That's probably his biggest budget he's had too, or close to it. It was 65 million for that. Only made 20 million. So
what was the Alita Battle Angels budget? I bet you.
Oh no, you're right. Sorry, 100. That's way bigger. That's 150 to 200 million, and it made 400 and a bit. So that barely made its money back. So by the middle 2000s, now he's producing films that aren't. Likewise, Sin City, the sequel, that failed dismally as well. So
but he didn't direct that one though. Frank Miller directed that solo, right?
Pretty sure he directed it too. It's again co-directed.
Yeah. So by the 2010s, he starts running into rough patches.
Machete Kills.
Oh yeah, he did do those.
That also flopped. So it's probably after the last Spy Kids film, which I'm looking at.
Is the turning point for him when he does Grindhouse, because it was such a particular nerd concept that
that also
I like Grindhouse, but I'm a movie nerd who likes the idea of the verisimilitude of watching a 70s double feature of 2 genre movies slapped together. I love the idea of watching those movies back to back with the fake trailers and the whole thing, right? I thought, but that's a niche sort of thing that
and it didn't do well either.
No.
So from after Sin City, which didn't make as much as I thought, it still obviously made a lot of money. It had a sequel, but it made about 160 million off a $40 million budget. I mean, that's one of the best looking films I've ever seen for $40 million. So there's no doubt.
Especially because a lot of that technology was brand new at the time that they were doing
very early on.
Yeah.
So he's an incredible filmmaker. And his last project here, I'm just looking here at the Wikipedia page going, what? There's a film called 100 Years that he's slated to release on November 28th, 2115. The tagline is "The movie you will never see." And it stars John Malkovich, and it's an experimental science fiction short film, and that's it. He's got it blocked away in a box somewhere. So that's interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. It's just so strange. I'm going to have this thought a couple of times here, and I think it just shows how like independent movies work. So a guy makes the movie Pig a couple of years ago, like in 2021 with Nicolas
Cage. Yep.
And the next thing you know, his next feature was
Quiet Place 3. Yep.
A Quiet Place 3, right? Like a off-side sequel sort of thing, which was better, in my opinion, than it had any right to be. It's a very different kind of movie. It's a kind of
more
different. Of a sad.
Not what I wanted when it was like, oh, day one in the middle of New York City. Holy shit, strap yourself in.
No, it wouldn't appeal to you, but that's the sort of movie that appeals to me. And you're like, holy shit, this. So it's like, that's, for a while it was Kevin Trevorrow, right? It's like he has like one, like Safety Not Guaranteed, I think. And then the next thing they're like, you're going to have a Star Wars trilogy. What? Josh Trank has Chronicle and you get a Star Wars movie, Trank. Right? Like all of the, like, there's been this trend of, Rian Johnson is sort of like that. He does Brick. You like find a young director who has a semi-successful independent movie and then give them $1 billion franchise. And I know that it was
Marvel blueprint.
Yeah. I know that it was different in the 90s. I know that it was different in 1992 when Robert Rodriguez is like barely in college age going to TIFF and premiering his movie. I get it. And I get that for the time, it's a tremendous success. You have a major studio, Columbia Pictures, that figures out, like, dumps some money into your project and puts it in semi-wide theatrical release, like in home video. Like, that's tremendous for the era. But it just feels like at some point somebody would have said, here's the Terminator. Here's this IP. And not like that's the be-all, end-all, but I feel like we never really got to see so far, and maybe he's past his prime as a director. He doesn't have like that definitive movie that has completely crossed over. Yes, From Dusk Till Dawn is great for people like you and me, and it's a successful movie, but it's still kind of a cult kind of thing in comparison to, say, Pulp Fiction or anything that Tarantino has done, or his other peers. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, that was a long-winded way of saying if you watch El Mariachi and you watch what this kid was able to do with $7,000 and next to no professional actors, you have to go, this guy's going to be the next big thing. And it just never happened.
It's true. And it's not like there's another person in this list of films that we're going to talk about, or director, that you pose the question, why didn't he go on to be the next big thing? I think I have the answer to that one. This one I can't respond to, because from what I hear and what you read, on the interwebs, Robert Rodriguez is not a name that's associated with controversy. No one's ever
he's well.
No one's ever come out and said he's a prick or an asshole to work with. He has heaps of actors who come back to keep working with him. They all seem to like him. He does have that auteur energy. He is one of those people that shoots most of his own films, and he likes to edit them as often as he can as well. So, obviously,
and maybe it's as simple as that: is that he's too much of a control freak or too much of an auteur to fit within that larger studio system. He can't do assembly line filmmaking because he's too. It's all handcrafted by him.
You have to assume that there were conversations in the 90s and probably in the early 2000s. Do you want to do this, Robert? Can I do this, and this with it? No. Then sorry, you're not the guy for the job.
I would bet money. I think you're exactly right. I would bet money and that shows his professionalism, that we don't have a bunch of rumors out there about him like that. Yep. But my guess would be that he probably did, especially after Desperado. The studios were probably like, do you want to do a Steven Seagal movie? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? And he was probably like, it was either against his sensibilities or they weren't going to give him the creative freedom, and it just didn't work out. Yeah.
I'd love to read a book from him about his career at some point.
Yes. I was just thinking the same thing. Synopsis-wise, here's mine. An aspiring musician gets mistaken for a killer and dragged into a violent cartel war he wants nothing to do with.
A case of mistaken identity leads to a lot of running around the streets of Mexican City and a career for one Robert Rodriguez. So there you go. We've kind of already covered that part.
I think this movie, I know that I've seen this. I feel like I saw it in the 90s, maybe late 90s. So it's been a long time. I think I've only ever seen El Desperado or Desperado once. And I think I've seen Once Upon a Time in Mexico 40 times because it was also showing in that same theater with the Spy Kids. So, I just remember Johnny Depp getting his eyeball shot out or gouged out with the pistols and coming down the street with blood running down his face. I don't know. I find this movie charming. I find it. What's really funny is as I was watching this movie, I couldn't help but think to myself that this is some real inside baseball shit, but Rodriguez delivered on $7,000 what oftentimes Albert Pune barely managed to deliver on like $500,000.
Yeah, I think there's a lens through this episode that you've got to take with they did this for how much?
Yes.
And it elevates scores.
Yes.
If this was the final product of a $2 or $3 million film, I'd be like, ooh, we have some real shit. Real shit in this lot today. And I did watch this back when it came out. I didn't see it at the cinema. I do remember watching it around the same time that Waterworld hit the cinemas.
Oh my God.
And I remember walking out of Waterworld and
That's
talking
juxtaposition.
Yes. Yeah. And that was straight away somehow it came up like the most expensive film ever made at that point in time.
Yeah.
And seeing it on the big screen versus watching the first film to make $1 million or the lowest budget film to make $1 million at the box office, El Mariachi. And I said, you compare these two, I'm watching El Mariachi again every time.
So you saw it on VHS and you walked out of a full big screen theater like, I'd rather watch Mariachi El Mariachi on VHS again.
But that was the one and only time I've watched it before.
Okay, so how did this revisit work for you?
Not as well, because in my head it's much, much better than it was. So like I maybe I'm conflating, I know it's not because maybe I'm conflating the love I have for Desperado, which I think is one of the finest action films ever made, to this, and they just sort of bled into each other over the years. So watching this one was a rougher experience than I had anticipated, because it really is a lot of running around with nothing else happening. And the love story is completely and utterly unbelievable and terrible. There's zero chemistry, and that might be a product of the fact that, as you say, no one's a real actor here. Mostly they're Rodriguez's family and friends who are just filling in roles, which of course have to be for $7,000 because you can't pay someone to come and do nothing for a length of time. There are some occasional moments of absolute inspiration where I'm like, wow, this is where you can see the genesis of what Rodriguez will become. Yeah. Some of his sort of camera work. But then it's to use your word there, juxtaposed against moments like, why did we have to speed up them running around and doing something in silly fast motion? It's those kind of decisions I was like, do not work for me whatsoever.
But doesn't that already show you? Doesn't that already show you the Spy Kids humor that he has?
Yeah, he doesn't do it in Desperado.
But he doesn't do speed up. But there's a kind of cartoonish humor when Tom Savini's codpiece comes down in a fucking
From Dusk to Dawn.
And his dick is a gun. Like there is this juvenile comic book sense of humor that he has, this sort of zaniness that is there, right? Like even like the Machete movies, there's a zaniness to them.
That's true.
That, and obviously like the zombie one that he did for Grindhouse, Planet Terror. It's like there is this sort of madcap, zany, little kid comic book sense of humor, almost Saturday morning cartoon kind of level of humor that it's there. It's in this movie. Like this is the DNA of everything else that he would ever do. He likes stuff that looks really cool. He likes machismo, but he's also deeply sentimental and romantic. Yeah. And he wants things to be like the closest equivalent that I can think of is John Woo. Not that he's at the level of John Woo when John Woo was at his peak.
Well, no one's at that level at John Woo's
peak.
peak.
Nobody was at that level. But it's like that what is it? Heroic bloodshed, where it's these big melodramatic emotions and feelings and romances and loves and loss and slow-mo and blood and doves and fire. And he doesn't have the money to do that in this particular movie, but you can see him leaning that way. So this is supposed to be a tragic romance from this woman who operates this cantina and who's involved with a narco. And by the end of it, he becomes like a Mad Max figure, right? Like you can, right? He's got like it's like John Woo, George Miller, Sam Raimi. Those are the three inspirations I see when I see this movie. By the end of it, he's got a broken, fucked up guitar and a hand that could ever play love songs again because his heart has been broken. And he's got like a weird glove that almost looks like a robot hand. And he's got a pit bull and he's driving through the desert, right? Like it's very Mad Max coded.
That's a good way of putting it. Yes, 100% agree. There's one action sequence. Because again, I thought there was way more action sequences in this movie, I have to say.
No, this is very slow and very limited.
Again, and I understand it's a constraint of the budget.
Yes.
Let's see what he can do when he gets an actual budget in Desperado.
That opening is great though. The jail cell whole thing,
build up
the whole reversal, and that's good stuff.
100% agree. It's a good moment and sort of establishing Azul, who is the case of mistaken identity. This is a film which couldn't exist in modern day, of course.
No.
Just take a photo, look at surveillance footage, and here we go. And then he gets drawn in and happens to be very adept with machine guns that he happens to pick up and kills. I don't know, he kills. That's even a moment of comedy in the film where it's like, you've killed 8 people. No, 4.
Yeah, right.
The other guys killed the 4 people. So I like that. But there's this awesome stunt in the middle of the film where I was like, my jaw dropped. That he grabs whatever it is, a ball and chain. Is it a flail or a mace? A flail, I think it is.
Yeah.
Hangs it over a power line or a communications line and just slides down to the back of a car, and it's done in this one shot. And I think it's actually Carlos Gallardo, the actor. And I'm like, wow. How did he convince him to do this? This could not have been safe at all. And I'm like, wow.
Not at all. No.
That's what I was thinking the rest of the film was like as well. So hence my somewhat disappointment, whilst appreciating that for $7,000 this is still a solid film.
Here's my question. Okay, $7,000 in the early 90s is obviously a lot more than it's probably closer to 15 now, let's say.
At least.
Still, how do you afford fucking squibs at $15,000? Like, how do you afford film? How do you afford to rent or a camera? How do you afford editing? Like, obviously there's $200,000 of post-production works. Okay. Yes. The editing, but all your pre-production, all your production is coming out of, adjusted for inflation, let's say $12,000 to $15,000. And yet there are lots of squibs.
Sorry to interrupt you. Columbia spent the $200,000 to transfer the print to film. So it doesn't sound like it was on film to start with.
Oh, so maybe he shot it on VHS?
Yeah, Super VHS would be my guess. And then So
okay.
Sorry, I broke up your train of thought.
No, that makes sense. Yeah, that's relevant. No, that makes sense. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I agree with you. I remember this one being way more, I'm going to say action-packed. I knew that Desperado was the upgrade. I knew that this was almost like the proof of concept, and then it was proved so successful. Let's dump more money and make it the way that you envisioned it in your head with less or almost no limitations by comparison. But I forgot, like, man, there's a lot of nothing happening in this movie.
Yep. 100%.
And I guess like at the no budget level, or very, very low budget and high concept, like the premise of this episode, I think with the interesting thing, the fun thing is kind of like what you were saying, is watching and going, okay, how are they going to navigate the fact that they don't have any money? Because is it going to be locked in one location? Is it going to be limited characters? Is stuff going to happen off screen? Like, when do they choose to maybe try to over deliver on the budget? When do they under deliver? Like, how do they wrestle through having limited resources? We live in a world now where I feel like, going back to those major studio movies, I mean, it's like with if you have a post-production budget, a VFX budget, almost anything can be done after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have to think as hard about lighting or blocking. Because the whole idea used to be, and that this was probably not true for this movie, because you're probably right, it probably wasn't shot in film. But it was something like every minute of film that goes through a camera was $1 million.
Wow.
That's how they thought about it.
Jeez.
And so it was like, okay, rehearse twice, block once, shoot once, basically was the idea, right?
Get it right.
Yeah. Do all the practicing up front. Rehearse it, block it, get everything right, and then go, because we have limited time and limited money. And you don't have to do that anymore, because it's literally just an SD card. You can just sit there and don't even have to have a script anymore. You just have to have money. And if you can pay people to be there, you're like, well, figure it out on the set. And you just have endless rewrites on the set, like the Marvel method, right? The Marvel method of making movies. And I think we're now at this point where since mid and low budget movies don't really get theatrical distribution, and if they do, it's not for very long, unless it's horror. Most movies now have way too much money and way too little thought put into them. Yeah, and the fact that just about everybody owns a piece of equipment on their person they carry around that can make a competent looking film these days doesn't hurt as well. With some, like my 12-year-old daughter puts out TikTok videos and whatever else that look pretty bloody good with just editing CapCut software. Does she have you doing the editing for her? Absolutely not. She does it all herself. Self-taught. Wouldn't let me anywhere near it. Have you taught her the 180 rule of camera placement? Not yet. Okay, all right. Yeah, there's only so much that kids will listen to their parents about technology wise, and so this just falls smack into that territory. Especially with you in your 80s. I mean, what's a 12-year-old have in common with a man in his 80s? Got to get at least one of those jokes in per episode. Contractual obligation met. All right, so it didn't quite live up to your imagination or to your memory. What would you give El Mariachi out of 10? Yeah, look, I don't want to make it sound like I'm being too harsh. It's taking all that into account. It's a pass. I'm giving it 5.7 out of 10. Jesus! So where does it rank for you? It is my 4th of the week. Whoa! It's my number 2 for the week. Ooh, okay. Interesting. I give it a 7.5 out of 10. Damn. High. There's something about a masculine-faced woman in stockings opening a guitar case with her feet as she holds a dagger to your balls that was like, ooh. Got Jason's juices flowing. This better not awaken anything in me. Too late. I, too, would sing a love song about a woman castrating me if I was ever put in that situation. All right, it's time to move on to, arguably, other than El Mariachi, the biggest cult classic, depending on who you are on this list. For sure. There's another one on here we'll have to get to, but it's 1997's Cube, which currently has a 61% on Rotten Tomatoes.
This Sunday on Showcase.
Does anybody remember how they got here?
I just went to bed and...
The walls are closing in.
How many people are in this thing?
Room numbers.
Don't look for a reason.
Stop! In front of you!
Look for a way out.
There is no way out of here! I just want to wake up.
Cube, starting at 9, only on Showcase.
Cube was directed by Vincenzo Natali with a screenplay by Andre, and I can't pronounce that. It's too many fucking vowels.
Bajelic? That'll do.
That'll do, pig. And Graham Manson and Vincenzo Natali. It's a triumphant return of Nicole DeBoer, last seen in Kids of the Hall Brain Candy. This film was released September 9th, 1997 at TIFF. It was released September the 11th, 1998, in the United States. I think on TV. I remember this one going to Sci-Fi Channel. I don't think this got theatrical distribution in the U.S. If it did, It was very limited.
It made $9 million at the box office, apparently. So it did
That's got to
something.
be all loonies and toonies, Paul.
Right, which you've educated me about in a recent episode. So
That's right. That's all loonies and toonies.
I am a loony.
On a budget of $350,000. And let me just say this.
Canadian dollars. What does that do in terms of American dollars?
What's
are they 1 for 1?
I don't know. What's 350,000 loonies and toonies in 1997? I don't know. You have to go back to 97 loons and toons, and then you have to go back 97 real freedom bucks, and then adjust for inflation because our currency varies. Sometimes their currency is stronger, sometimes ours is.
Well, at the moment, $1 Canadian is worth 70 US cents. So there you go.
Okay. Strangers wake up inside a deadly interconnected maze and must solve puzzles before they are killed or kill each other.
No one is who they first appear to be in Booby Trap, the movie.
Okay. I think this movie it's been a long time. This was a staple of the Sci-Fi Channel. So I've seen this movie a dozen times at least, and probably a dozen more in parts and pieces. But it's been a long time since I've revisited it. Okay. I think this movie is very smart in its conceit.
Yep.
I think that the idea, it just as a piece of genre fiction, it is the type of moral dilemma writing that the best episodes of The Twilight Zone, I think, encompassed in that. The Twilight Zone will be a reoccurring theme because I thought about it pretty much in every movie other than El Mariachi. I'm like, this is like a Twilight Zone episode. And one of the writers wrote for the Twilight Zone, so that made sense for that movie. But you can also take this as like philosophical if you want to be really heady with it, right? You've got the cube, which is kind of existence or reality. And I thought about no exit, where hell is other people, that kind of idea. Each of these characters sort of is both an archetype, but also a certain philosophical point of view. Like Quentin is obviously a moral hypocrite and like an authoritarian, right? He's a oppressor. He's the strong man who's supposed to protect, but is an oppressor. You have Worth, who, and their names are almost kind of a little bit like Quentin. San Quentin is prison. He's the criminal justice system. You have Worth, where there's no meaning, there's no worth to life. So he's a nihilist, existential resignation. You have Levin, who's mathematical determinism and thinks the entire world can be solved through logic, which it obviously can't, right? You have Holloway, who is the sort of archetypal humanist / leftist conspiracy theorist,
but also the moral, kind of the most moral of them all.
Yeah, so she's always appealing to humanity because she's a humanist. She's a secular humanist. Yeah.
Yep. She wants to protect the autistic man when he comes along.
Yes. And his name is the most on the nose because his name is Kazan. And when I hear the name Kazan, I obviously think of Elia Kazan, who was the...
Educate me. I've got no idea.
Elia Kazan is one of the famous sort of new... he belongs to a school of... he might have worked at the Actors Studio, if I remember correctly. He ended up turning a bunch of American actors in for the Committee on... communist activities.
Communism, yeah.
But he, before that, he really helped. Yes, right. He helped to forward the idea of that performance should be pure and unfiltered behavior. That it shouldn't exist inside the system of film. It should be pure, and that is what this character is. He is pure function. He is innocence.
Okay.
He's pure function. And I may be reaching with that one, but that's immediately what I thought of. I was like, okay. And then if you look at any of the pre-production notes, they spent an inordinate amount of their time before this movie, as they were developing the screenplay, of trying to figure out mathematically how the cube would realistically work.
Cool. I like it.
And so there's enough internal logic, to use one of your favorite phrases, to me, that I go, okay, every question that I would have in real time, the characters are answering or asking, and we're being given answers. It's so ingenious because it's a locked set. It's a bottle movie.
Yeah.
Other than a couple of outside effects. You basically only have to make like maybe 2 or 3 duplicate sets and just change, or one if you're really smart, and just change
depending
the
how
lighting.
they shot it. That's what I said. I reckon it was just one.
And they just change the lighting,
Yep.
right? And it'd be a lot more setups, because when they look into the other room, you'd have to have a hallway or kind of corridor that you could look through, and doors that don't go anywhere. But like, other than that, like you could do this in a very confined way for $350,000, and I think deliver really thought-provoking movie that delivers on its high concept, that has what the best episodes of the Twilight Zone have, which is if you just scratch beneath the surface, you get to unfiltered human behavior. It's horrifying. It's more horrifying than whatever horror experience you can put them in. So I was actually kind of blown away by this, even though it's the one I'm most familiar with. What about you?
Yeah, look, I contributed to that $9 million. I did see this at an outdoor cinema
back in the day.
Back in the day. So
did you just go to the movies nonstop in that era?
We used to go. I used to go almost every week. We would pick something, no matter how out of genre it was. It would be a rare week where we wouldn't go and see something. Usually on a Thursday night, which is opening day here in Australia.
Kids, let me tell you, if you weren't here in the 90s, you fucking missed it, man.
And then we'd skip off to some place to have a couple of drinks, talk about the film and whatever else, depending on what uni classes we had on Friday morning. So
I've been watching movies since the 90s. Let me tell you, it ain't the same.
Ain't the same, man. Ain't the same. And I remember the gasps through the audience as this first scene, which apparently they spent most of their effects budget on. And a significant proportion of the film. It's such an awesome opening moment that sets the tone for this film. And it's the guy who gets cubed is Julian Richings, who is Death in the Supernatural TV series. And he pops up always.
Shit.
Yeah, he pops up in a lot of different stuff playing this emaciated. He's a very thin man. He was a very thin man and with quite drawn features. And so he's striking looking, and I always pick him because of this film. This is where I remember him from Cube.
Do you ever read Supernatural Erotica, where the two brothers kind of have a threesome with that angel?
No, Castiel. I did watch the first 5 seasons of that TV show though. So there are 15 seasons. Yeah, I tapped out somewhere in season 6.
There's 10. Like, nope. There's 3 times more seasons for you to watch.
I'm not sure how many times I can watch Carry On My Wayward Son. I have to open up an episode. Anyway, this film was awesome at the time I watched it. So more so, I have more favorable memories of this film for all the reasons you said, not the sort of stretch of names and everything else, which I did not know anything about, but just what you implied at the start of the episode, that here's a low budget. Okay, $350,000, even if we did 70% of that and said it's somewhere around about $280 to whatever, $260,000 American dollars. That's a lot more money than Rodriguez was playing with. And I'm not suggesting for a second that this is 40 times or 38 times better or 37 times better than what Rodriguez put together. But I am saying this one ticked every box for me. What I really, really love about it, other than the internal consistency of it and the fact you're not sitting there going, well, that's dumb, why are they doing that? Is because that the characters evolve under the pressure cooker of this situation.
Yeah.
So this is what I said in my little synopsis, who's the character you're meant to think is going to be the antagonist, the wimpy antagonist who's not prepared to do anything, who's going to drag them into the abyss by his lack of action or his apathy or his depression, turns out to be the hero. The guy who is the manly kind of, I'm going to see us through this and you're going to follow me and I'm going to save everybody. We're not going to give up on this. He turns out to be the antagonist who will kill everyone just to get himself through and survive. Yeah. And okay, those two are the biggest arcs, if you will, in this 90-minute film, which I think might be the longest of the films that we're watching today or we're talking about today. But there's a lot of work that goes into this characterization and this evolution of them, and it's so believable. Even watching Holloway go from being just a sort of conspiracy nut to being, she's a good human being who wants to care for this disabled individual, and Levin going from being just this young kid to a math genius who actually has something to contribute. I mean, that's There's a lot of fun moments in this movie, and then it's elevated by the fact that there is real tension when they step into the room. What's the trap?
Yeah.
What's the trap going to be? What's going to get them? Is this room safe? A couple of times, Quentin throws Worth, for example, into a room, and it's clear, and he's oh no, he lived. Okay, geez, thank God for that.
Yeah.
Or when they're horrendously, probably the only bit of the whole film, like, really, this is the best option you've got, is when they're all monkey barring across to get to the next exit, which is on one of the side walls when they come from the roof. And I'm like, I don't think those 6 people could do this without a problem. There's no way one of them doesn't slip and fall and drop down.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's a very small little knock on a film, which I think is really intelligent. I think it's really well designed and produced. I think the performances for what they are all solid. There's not a weak link here where you go,
correct.
Oh, please stop. And I think it has a fantastic ending. I wish there was no sequels. I wish they had just left it at this, because the sequels are infinitely inferior than this product. I think this is a fantastic sci-fi thriller film, and it hits on every level.
They made a Japanese remake of it like a year or two ago.
So I heard. I haven't seen it.
Did you ever watch that?
No.
You're my pipeline to Japan, and
I will try and seek it out, though. I'm interested to see if they change anything or if they just go note for note.
If anything, I imagine it being more fucked up.
There is that chance.
Okay, let's take the high concept away. You have to have characters under tension that are care about isn't the right word, that you don't get sick of because you're stuck in a confined space with them, or that you get sick of them at the right time in the right way because the movie wants you to get sick of them, not because you're going, oh my God, what a great idea for a movie, but I hate every character in this movie and I'm not supposed to. I'm not rooting for any of these people. That doesn't really happen, because every time an iteration or a beat of the screenplay would maybe just start to wear out its welcome, they change it. And something evolves. There's some new aspect of the cube. There's some new aspect of the mathematics. There's some new character that gets introduced. There's some subversion that happens. There's a character change. There's some piece of backstory. And it's really, honestly, like, it may sound ridiculous to say this about Cube, but it's kind of a masterclass in high concept, low budget screenwriting and filmmaking. Like, we're extremely limited, and how do we take that, what could be limitation, and use it to our advantage? And I haven't seen any of the sequels. I don't know if they go into like, here's who made the cube, because I actually love the idea that when Worth, I think, has the speech where he's just basically like, it's revealed that he had a piece of it. He designed the outer shell. He was
involved. Yep.
Yeah. But he didn't know really what it was, but he maybe had an inclination, but he didn't know what anybody could potentially use it for. But he knew it wasn't going to be for good, but he didn't really care because it was good money, blah, blah, blah. And the whole time I'm just thinking, like, that's actually how it would be when he's like, there's nobody in charge. There is no master plan. There is no master conspiracy. It's just a bunch of other people, just cogs in a machine doing their part, and it's just terrible because that's just the way some things are. That works at like an existential level, but I love the fact that, like, there is no explanation. Is it aliens? No. Is it the government? Are they under the like, even when the surviving character gets out, we don't really see what world they're going into, or what, are they on a ship? There's light, but that doesn't mean they're necessary, because it's like an unnatural light. So it doesn't mean it's the sun. We have no idea, right? Yep. So I love that. Leave it ambiguous enough, because it doesn't matter. And if you were in that circumstance, it really wouldn't fucking matter if you're abducted by aliens, or if it was a government, or a bunch of rich people gambling on who's going to live or die. Like any explanation you could provide is going to lower everything.
Agreed. And that's what the sequels do. They explain more and more as they go.
It's no. And then with Levin, like you talked about, like having enough character arcs. And Levin at the very end, like at the very beginning, she's deeply depressed and sees no point in living. But at the end, she's like, when Worth is like, basically, I don't deserve to go back out there. There's nothing for me out there, and I helped make this thing. So I just leave me here to die, basically, because he's been fucked up. And he's like, there's no point out there. It's just stupid people with their stupid problems.
Right. Yep.
And she's like, that's enough for me. She's had that little turn. Like, I can live with that, is what she says. and then of course she's immediately killed.
Yeah.
But like that
in a really shocking moment.
Yes, that character arc moment of someone who's gone from seeing life as worthless, has come through this, reached the limits of their own intelligence, has pushed beyond them to some extent, but at the same time has come through tragedy with resiliency. Is like, that's a fun little character arc. That's a satisfying little story to tell, even though, and then when she does die, it adds even more tragedy to it, and which you need that last little bit so that when Quentin gets crushed to death, you can rejoice.
Cheer. Yes, exactly. And I know there's people out there who are yelling at us who are fans of this film, Jason. So just to confirm some of what you were saying, 100% what they were going for, all the names are connected with prisons, real world prisons.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Leavenworth. And
yes.
apparently Alderson is in West Virginia. Rennes is in France. Kazan is in Russia. And Holloway is in the UK. So there you go.
There you go. Okay. All right. Look at you.
As you said, San Quentin in California.
Yeah. Look at you go. All right.
I thought it was really good. The only other knock I have really on the film is I thought the montage sequences were really out of place. They didn't work for me. I know they're trying to show the transition of time. They're working their way through it. It's not just them standing there and this is a real time event. Yeah. But I don't know, that the way it was shot and the stretching of the film and the music they chose, I'm just like, oh, this has thrown me out of it a bit. So it's again a little knock on the film, which brings my score down a little bit. But nevertheless, I 100% agree with you. This is for the budget, for anything. If you took this film and somehow gave it $10 million, I don't think it'd be any better other than maybe the effects. And
I'm going to make a bold statement right here. This movie is better than all the Saw movies combined.
Yes. There's not a single Saw movie I like better than this. 100% agree.
Which is remarkable because it's a very almost similar premise, but just way better done with no fucking money. And that first Saw didn't have a lot of money either. So in fairness to them, which
is the best of the lot, obviously, because it is so surprising and shocking. So that one gets close for me, but after that, it's just, I'm enjoying some of the kills here, but otherwise, you're not offering me much.
No. And we just keep going back and retconning and going, actually, there was 12 minutes in between the second movie and the fifth movie. And this guy who you thought was dead actually showed up, and he was he was the taxi driver who drove John to the hospital the fifth time that he died. And you're like, oh, God. Okay. So, but he somehow recruited him to be one of his tortured disciples, whatever. Yeah. If you like those sort of movies and you've never seen Cubed, even though we have spoiled much of it,
the whole
we
film.
haven't spoiled all of it. Go check it out. I give it an 8 out of 10.
I give it an 8.2 out of 10, and it is my best of the week.
Me too!
Hey! 2 nominations. Yeah. Here we go.
All right. It's time to move on to the one you've been waiting for, Paul. 2004's Primer, which is directed and written by Shane Carruth, who I have questions about. And you're going to answer them.
I think so.
It's currently, I say, 72% on Rotten Tomatoes.
I mean, you've got the $400 billion. You've gone the charity route. You have this perfect 100-room mansion with matching his and her yachts and helicopter pads. How do you fill your day? What do you do?
Here's what's going to happen. I'm going to read this. And you're going to listen. And you're going to stay on the line. And you're not going to interrupt. You're not going to speak for any reason. Some of this you know. I'm going to start at the top of the page.
Inside the box, it's like the street. Both ends are cul-de-sac.
They took from their surroundings what was needed and made of it something more.
And I can imagine no way in which this thing would be considered anywhere remotely close to safe. Why not the lottery? You have a margin account, right? For now, though, if you wanted to, you can just tell her you had a good day in the market.
You don't understand. No. You don't understand the questions that come with that, okay?
Hey, come here for a second. What's on your hand? You bleeding?
Did you see that? I swear that was him. What the hell is he doing? Just sitting outside my house at 2 in the morning.
There's no way I would tell anyone about this. No way.
Can you think of any reason that you might?
No, I can't. Sometimes we do things.
No, we don't know how we got to that.
No, I can't. Can't what? I can't think of any reason why I would.
There was value in the thing, clearly. That they were certain of.
Primer was released October 8th, 2004 on a budget of $7,204. So that's less
coming
than
in
El
like
Mariachi.
$200 less than El Mariachi.
Yeah. It made $841,926 in limited release. Okay, so
but it won a bunch of awards, right? It won something. It won like Sundance or TIFF or something along those lines.
It won a bunch of awards and a bunch of science fiction awards for sure. Two garage engineers accidentally invent time travel and unravel their own lives in a looping knot of paranoia and betrayal.
It was Sundance. It won Sundance Grand Jury Prize.
I get it. Here's what I want to say. From a craft level, I get it. Mm-hmm. From a premise, it's got a very early 2000s digital filmmaking.
Yes.
Color correction, post matrix, everything's green look to it. And so it's very dated and the white balance is off and the light's all blown out all the time.
All of which you can forgive.
The ADR is bizarre at times and very poorly done. And like, and I forgive all of that for $7,000 and just somebody making a movie like a house and a fucking storage unit. But And I like the premise. I like the idea of the process. You turn on this box, you fill the room in the box with argon gas, you wait several hours, you get inside the box, and when you go in the box, you eventually, when you get out of the box, you have traveled back to the moment you got in the box.
Back and around and around, right? That's
how the old you is still
between.
Sleeping in the box, but you have to wait 6 hours, then it's just whatever. And then there's two of you in that world, and then I think you're creating alternate realities.
It does get difficult to understand.
I have watched this movie twice now, and I want to tell you, I have no idea what happens in this fucking movie.
Good. I'm glad it's not just you. I missed my spot where I meant to tell you my synopsis. Time travel is invented by two personality-less engineers who, of course, proceed to fuck it up.
I've met a lot of engineers in my life, Paul, and most of them don't have personality.
Oh, shots fired.
That part feels very accurate, especially from this era. What's hilarious is I am fairly certain that Shane Carruth was the technical advisor for time travel on Looper because he's friends with Rian Johnson.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes.
Did not know that.
I think Looper is really smart when it's like, I'm not a scientist. Fuck all that time travel bullshit. I don't know how any of it works.
Yeah.
And just get it the fuck out of the way. It just does. Nobody understands it. And just like, we understand enough of the premise. Criminal in the future is allowed to run amok because eventually they're going to get their final payout and be sent to the past and be killed by their former self or whatever. Yep. They make a deal when they're young and they kill themselves when they're young. They kill their older selves when they're young. That's all we need to fucking know. And that movie more or less works.
Yep. Good film.
This movie is if you took that conversation they skipped at the diner between Bruce Willis and Joseph Gordon-Levitt and you made the entire movie just that conversation.
Well, he's famously said he didn't want to dumb this down. He wanted to make this as close to potentially accurate. Like, apparently he's a mathematician.
How would we know, though? How would we know?
Apparently he's a mathematician, and so he wrote this dialogue and wanted it to stay in for this whole purpose of, I guess, you're bamboozling your average audience, me, I was bamboozled by it. I went and found a graphic somewhere, and I'm like, okay, I think I've got it straight in my head. That, as you said, 6 hours in the box, you bounce back and forth between the present and that when you went into the box 6 hours over time, and then you come out at that time again rather than the time that's elapsed since you went into the box. I understand that.
But I think it's like the Prestige where the person who goes in the box ceases to exist because you've overwritten.
Well, then how come you can see when Abe takes Aaron out to show him this at the start, that's a good sequence where he's like, I don't want you to freak out. And even though he knows exactly the moment he can give him the binoculars when he walks across the car park at that exact moment in time, but okay. And he looks and he sees there's Abe again. So how are they ceasing to
We've
exist?
already invented time travel because
or is it after,
there we are. Yeah.
Yes, I've already done it. Do you want to come along for the journey? Basically.
Yeah, right.
I don't think they make a big enough deal about how much money they're making in doing the stock, whatever. They kind of just reference it a couple of times, but they're not over the next week or three, however long this film takes. They don't show them, living the big life and suddenly, okay, I've put that.
Well, they can't because they're shooting in Shane Carruth's mom's house.
I know, but they could have said something like, okay, 250 grand, that's deposited. I'll put that in this term deposit wherever it's hidden away there. We can't spend it. Otherwise we'll draw attention to ourselves.
That's true.
They don't bother with that. And I'm like, well, why are we so, apart from the implications of it, why do they keep doing this? Why do they keep putting themselves through it? Especially once the physical toll starts being, let alone the psychological toll of it.
Okay, that's a great point. That's a great point. I think this movie is like a very interesting intellectual exercise, but there's no emotional value to it.
Yeah.
And like as great that he wants to be as technically accurate as possible, right? Great that you have a film concept that is a fairly original time travel idea. Great that you are exercising your craft and tying us time and story and characters into these moral knots. I get that. But to your point, what's motivating them? After a certain, I get the initial thrill of it and the proof of concept, and we've done it and we could sell this technology or we have to understand it better. After a certain point, you have to go, okay, yeah, you got the money thing, but now you're double backing on each other, and you somebody maybe told somebody because now there's another guy who's involved in it, and who said what to win, and with the time is every time you get your bearings, the timeline's changing, but what's emotionally motivating these people? Is one guy in love with another guy's wife? Is one guy like there has to be a human core to your story for it to be an enjoyable exercise of time spent. And granted, this is only like an hour and 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's basically just one giant proof of concept movie that never got made into a feature length better film, which is sort of strange. Like this is the sort of movie. By the way.
The double does cease to exist after 6 hours in that time. Yes.
So, you're kind of creating this cosmic suicide loop, but you're also fucking your friend over. But it never makes emotional sense to us. As logical as it is, it never makes emotional sense. So it's just not very engaging.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think the technical aspects here for a $7,000 film, I think Carruthers moves the camera. He adds this, it looks like despite the digital sort of early 28 days later kind of look of the film.
Yeah, that's good.
I think this film comes across as a much more technically competent film than El Mariachi for the same budget. And it's a lot better looking film than the next two that we're going to talk about as well, in my opinion. There's a lot more going on with camera movements and placement, and it's really trying to do more than just show a conversation in the way that the camera is placed. And yeah, even the fact that there is some dollies, there's an excellent wraparound dolly, like as he spins and realizes at the same time at one point, I'm like, well, that's some accomplished filmmaking for what I have to imagine was, a little digital camera. I don't know on what. So it looks way, way better to my mind than this film has any right to. Yes, everyone other than Shane Carruthers is not a particularly good actor, but that makes sense because they're basically all his family and friends. Yes. And I thought Abe in particular was a really bad actor.
Terrible.
And so nothing at all. David Sullivan, I think his name is. But the thing I think we're both hinging my main criticisms of this film all revolve around not so much that it bamboozled me and I needed a graphic to understand it. And even now, we're still not 100% sure how it kind of works. It's that, this lack of emotional connection to these people, all of them. So they fuck over two of their friends who were in the early parts of the experiment with them. That's given no thrift whatsoever through the rest of the film.
None.
And I just kept coming back to this sort of jokey moment of they constantly wearing a shirt and tie. They're at a party after hours. They're wearing a shirt and tie. The only thing that varies is the fact whether their top button's done up and the tie's done up nightly. And I'm like, what? Do they not have a t-shirt? Do they not have tracksuit pants? Why are they constantly wearing a shirt and tie at home? Obviously in the office, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But when they're off to do their own experiments, the only time they get out of it is when they climb into the box and then they put themselves straight back into the shirt and tie and off they go and do their next bit. It's very odd. And maybe that again comes down to the personality-lessness of these two characters. If you had have really bought in with one or both of them, made one more antagonistic and one more of a protagonist and more sympathetic, it might have worked a lot better, this movie. But then you would have had to have extra scenes and it would have cost more money and maybe they just couldn't do it. They brought it right back to the bare bones.
Again, this feels like one of those movies that Shane Carruth goes out with his friends, gets $7,000, gets his dad to give him some money or whatever. And
that's how it works. That's what I did.
Right. They go and they shoot the movie. It goes to Sundance, which is a pretty big deal. It wins the audience award or the grand prize.
Grand Prix. Yep.
And then somebody from one of the studios goes, we want to buy the rights to Primer.
You would think.
And then they bring in an accomplished Hollywood screenwriter who understands pathos and emotion and all that sort of stuff. They go, okay, we can take this core concept and then make an engaging, enriching story with it. And, like that happens all the time. And that just never happened for this guy. So again, I don't know if it's being a film nerd in the early 2000s. Shane Carruth was this guy who, like, not as much as Robert Rodriguez, because El Mariachi and then Desperado were so huge. And the 90s indie movie boom was like a golden era of itself.
Mm-hmm.
But this guy was talked about as if he was going to be the next Stanley Kubrick. Like, this guy's going to write intelligent, brilliant science fiction films, high concept. He's got all these scripts he's working on. He's all these projects that he's potentially got a deal at this studio. He's potentially got a deal in this, and he doesn't make another movie until 2013.
Right. And that part I can't really explain. Except for
that one comes out reasonably. People are like, it doesn't do great business, but people who've seen it, Uptown Color or
Upstream Color,
people are like, it's inventive, it's original, it's heady, it's obviously a better movie than this. Like, he's done it again. Oh, here we go. And then it's just, he's a consultant on Looper. He's edited movies. Like, he's been in the business, but he's only directed 2 movies.
Yep. And he starred another one, which I did watch, which he produced, which was pretty good, kind of horror, again, kind of a heady horror kind of film where there's the implication of another dimension and things coming through and these kinds of stuff. But it's a lot more complicated than that. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. But
that's not the one where they're brother and sister robbers, are they?
No. It's called The Dead Center.
Oh, that's a great name for a horror movie or a horror adjacent movie.
And that's 2018. So he's only 3 films. What happened? So he meets Amy Smeets, his co-star in Upstream Color, and they form a relationship, and they're together for 5 years. There are multiple allegations of abuse. And then you think, all right, he's denied those allegations because of course he has. Sure. She gets a permanent restraining order against him in 2020.
Okay, you don't get a permanent restraining order in America if there's not a shit ton of evidence.
And then in 2022, he gets arrested at the home of another girlfriend with further allegations of domestic assault and vandalism. So, there's only so many times you can hear the story about Richard Gere getting a gerbil up his ass before you start to believe it. Right.
That's right. I mean, that isn't the comparison I would have made.
Sure.
But, okay, again, I don't
So
want
maybe there's some of that floating through things.
You
obviously don't want to spend too much time on it, except this might explain if he is basically a piece of shit and people kind of know that about him. Every 5 years, I give him another chance.
Controlling.
Yeah.
Yes.
Have another go at this then, mate. nah, you're still a piece of shit. No one wants to work with you.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, look, there's a huge cult following for this movie, and I'm sure they will turn up in the comments and be like, you don't understand the genius. And here I would say, you're right. I don't understand his genius. But also, I don't need to, it doesn't need to make perfect sense to me for it to make emotional sense to me. And there's no heart in this movie whatsoever. And again, for 7,000, I go out, I have a heady concept, I shoot it with my friends. Well done.
Yeah.
But I'm wanting more, and I got more out of the other movies on this list that had similarly small budgets than I did this one. So I give this one a 6 out of 10. It's my worst of the week.
Oh, wow. Okay, so we really do diverge this week.
I know which one you're going to hate.
Oh, yeah, you will know which one I'm going to hate. I gave it 6.4 out of 10, and it's my second of the week. So it's a big gap from Cube down to this one. But I was
This is your second best of the week?
I was more impressed by this the second time around I watched it. It's the only one that went up on my reviewing, if I can put it that way. Can I segue here, maybe to divert your outrage, but also to continue the stories about engineers and how they operate in the real world. I have a friend who's a chemist, basically by trade, and he got picked up by one of the big engineering companies, and he moved to Houston in and around the time this was made, a couple of years before this was made. And he's over there, and he gets to Houston in the middle of the year, and he's working with some really intelligent engineers at Chevron, for want of a better description. And he, in the first, he's Australian, and so his accent picks up a bit of interest, and his colleagues are saying, okay, so yeah. And he has to explain to these, PhD in engineering that, well, in Australia, it's at the moment, it was July. It's not hot. It's cold. It's the other side of the world. It's tilted away from the sun. And one of these engineers with a PhD says to him, oh, wow. So is it July in Australia as well?
That's what I'm saying. You're wondering why these guys don't ever tape their ties and shirts off. What the fuck, man?
One of the best stories ever.
And it's the workplace, so you can't say what you want to say.
Uh-huh.
You got to be like, yes, it is.
It is. And you're the new guy. You don't want to alienate everyone either.
Oh, shit. Oh, my God. That is hilarious. All right. Well, it's time to move on to a movie that has a 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. That's 2007's The Man from Earth. It only has 5 reviews, but it's 100%.
That makes sense.
What if a man from the upper Paleolithic survived until the present day?
You know what could happen? Yeah, the pancreas turns over cells every 24 hours, the stomach lining in 3 days, the entire body in 7 years, but the process falters. Now, if a quirk in his immune system led to perfect detox, perfect renewal, then yeah, he could duck decay.
We were just talking about a caveman who survives until the present time.
And he hasn't aged a day in 10 years. Every woman on the faculty would give anything to have that secret.
The Man from Earth was directed by Richard Shankman and written by Jerome Bixby. Jerome Bixby wrote for The Twilight Zone.
Yeah, and Star Trek?
And Star Trek, yeah. And this movie feels like it could come from either one of those. It is the triumphant return of William Catt, last seen in Big Wednesday, and is a triumphant return of Tony Todd, last seen in the Final Destination series.
Nice.
The late, great Tony Todd, who is the best part of this movie.
Oh, thank you. It just beat me to it.
At a budget of $200,000, it made unavailable.
Nothing. Yeah. Nada. That's why only 5 critics have reviewed it.
A quiet professor makes an impossible claim to his peers at his goodbye party.
Candyman and the greatest American hero meet Jesus at the most boring party featuring Johnny Walker Green ever.
Wow. Okay. All right. Have you watched with any regularity the original American television series by Rod Serling, The Twilight Zone.
No, not the original. I think I was on board in the late 80s iteration thereof.
That one stinks.
There's a couple of good ones. There was one I remember about a kid who had a imaginary friend, who the imaginary friend's real and comes and kills the bullies that are picking on the kid all the way through.
Nice. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. No, skip that. Skip the Jordan Peele one. Skip the. I think they did one.
I didn't even try the Jordan Peele one. I saw the
skip
reviews.
That one. Skip them all. I love The Twilight Zone. I think it is one of the best consistently written TV shows of all time. The last season or so is not so great, but it's there is a reason why that show is 70 years old, and they still run marathons of it, and it is still episodes you still think about because they effectively got the best science fiction, pulp fiction, short story writers of the era. Your Richard Mathesons and all these people. And they would write on assignment and write episodes and submit. And then Rod Serling, who is also an incredible speculative writer himself, would punch it up oftentimes or would add to it or whatever. And he wrote a shit ton of episodes whole cloth himself. And he's great. So you just have these machines of what if and writing these and having to do it quickly and on a limited budget because it's a TV show. So this whole movie could have been a half hour to 45-minute episode because they varied in runtime of The Twilight Zone. And it would have been extremely successful.
Yep.
I'm going to add something else to it. I think had the movie stopped, the movie's got two problems. Had the movie stopped before the big reveal that this guy is the historical figure who the myths about Jesus were created about. Had they not done the Jesus thing, and then something I also talk about a little bit later on, I think that it would have been a much, much stronger movie. Because for a limited number of people in a setting, which is effectively My Dinner with Andre, I mean, it's literally a short story, right? A college professor who's beloved by his peers is decided up and overnight that he's going to move, and his peers show up and when he's moving all of his shit and go, "We want to have a clandestine going away party for you," and he's real weird about it. And there's offhanded comments about how he's hardly aged a day and he's so beloved. And each of these people represents a different department in academia, and he then levels this. He eventually cops to this is what he does. He moves every so many years and reinvents himself because he's actually effectively, maybe not immortal, but he's got an extraordinary lifespan of length. He's 14,000 years old. And then then it's a bunch of interrogating that idea and it's kind of a what if an actual human being, well, if you lived 14,000 years and you weren't superhuman, you might not remember the first 5,000 years that you were alive because you can only form so many memories. So much. Yeah. And so you lose track of stuff. You're not going to have possessions and artifacts and whatever. And all of that is, I think, really believable and pretty smart writing. And it's all nerd stuff. It's all super nerdy, short story, what if, speculative fiction. And I liked all of it. I think the performances, especially Tony Todd, I think Tony Todd is fantastic in this movie.
Yeah, he's good. And he breathes some life into it. And he's the most sympathetic of all the people who are questioning. He's respectful and he manages to keep it. Whereas everyone else goes through moments of being a prick or a nasty person about it. And it's understand some outrage, but the way they come at it is just calm the farm, people.
That's the Twilight Zone aspect of it. So the way he starts it off is like, I'm writing a science fiction story. So let's just go along with it. Use your disciplines and think about it like a biologist or a psychologist or an anthropologist or archaeologist or whatever they all are. Philosophy, whatever. And so then it goes with that for a while. And then they start to increasingly think like, oh, do you actually believe this about yourself? And he's like, what if I do? Right. And it's like all that sort of stuff. all of that is sort of is like sort of interesting until and I get it. Okay. I get that each of their reactions is sort of how people respond to knowledge, information, and having their core beliefs, whatever those things are, challenged, right? So the biologists, like they each respond in like to their
discipline, yeah.
To their discipline, yes. And if what he's saying is undermining their life's work or their preconceived notions of the world, then some people respond with curiosity and openness, and some people respond with hostility and yada, yada, yada. I get all that. And I think, like, again, in a 30-minute episode or 45-minute episode, it probably needs to be about 45. I think that works. At a close to 90-minute movie, that then I think bungles its actual emotional punch very, very badly.
Yeah.
Which is the very end.
Mm-hmm. It's a nothing. It's like, what? Huh? Who cares?
It's so okay. Yep. That should be okay. Okay, let's just get into it.
Oh, can I jump in to say?
Sure.
I was pretty bored by the halfway point of this movie. I really was. Like, I in stark contrast to how Primer was shot, this is boring as fuck. It looks like it was shot on video. There's the most minimal of camera movements. John Carpenter is infamously or famously on record as saying the hardest thing to shoot as a director is a conversation between a bunch of people in a room.
Yeah.
It's really difficult to make interesting or engaging. And he said, and so The Thing, which I think is his best film and one of the greatest films ever made, has a lot of those scenes in it. And yet somehow Carpenter finds a way in that movie to always make it interesting. This is the antithesis of that.
I would say, too, to speak to the Twilight Zone, there's more than a few episodes that are bottle episodes. And there's one episode where there's a group of people who are quite literally like in not a cube, but they're in a cylinder. They all wake up. It's very similar to the beginning of Cube.
Yep.
And the way that they shoot that conversation and the way that the camera moves as they become more panicked or more hostile, it like fills in all those emotional gaps. So you're right. This isn't just, there are bottle episodes of a 70-year-old TV show that have more energy than this.
Oh, it's so flat and boring, and it looks like it's shot on video, which is the final.
It looks like a porno. It looks like a softcore porno.
Yeah, if they had started stripping their clothes off at some point, it's not the kind of porno I would have wanted to watch, but it would have made more sense.
Yeah,
and then the reveal comes, and he kind of says, "Well, I'm probably Jesus." He doesn't, it is based on me. Now, at least I'm like, okay, this is going to degenerate from here into chaos. This is going to degenerate into them killing each other. So I had this momentary, because, let's enter religion into
this momentary glee that someone was going to die.
Or that something interesting was going to happen, that they were going to all turn on each other. Because the moment you, of course, enter religion into most things, it gets really emotional and it gets really scary. And there's no arguing against that. It's all been scientific discussions to this point in time. So it has been.
It's all been theoretical, not personal belief.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we get the one older woman who takes it really personally, but that's about the extent of it. Everyone says, oh, yeah, well, okay, why not? If we're going to go through. And I was like, yawn, we're back to yawn. And then hold on a second. The guy who was the psychiatrist at the university turns out to be, we obviously are spoiling these films as we always do on Binge Movies, turns out to be his son.
Now, wait a minute, though. You're burying a part of the lead, which is, okay, that should be the third act of this movie, is that the guy who thinks he's crazy.
Yep.
It's like who's just gone through this grief and who's like, oh, it's just so bungled. The guy
he's just lost his wife the day before.
Who's lost his wife, and it shouldn't have been the day before. There should have been.
Which I know. What's he doing there? No, sorry, I'm not coming. I've got my own shit going on.
Correct. Yeah, correct. My wife died yesterday. That was stupid. But you could have said like 3 months ago his wife died or whatever. That's fine. Okay, so let's fix that. 3 months ago, this guy's wife dies, and then he's a psychologist, psychiatrist, whatever he is, and he's like, this guy's clearly has like delusions of grandeur and religious preoccupation, and he it's a very common mental illness thing to think you're a divine figure, especially Jesus. So this guy thinks he's Jesus. There's something wrong with my friend, my colleague. He's really unwell. I'm concerned. I'm coming over. And yeah, this guy's not stable at all. And then there needs to be some reveal, even if it was the fucking reveal that they end up doing in this movie. Fine, some version of that. And then the look needs to wash over his face. And then he needs to be like, this is my dad, because that would turn that whole room into chaos.
Yep.
Because then you ask
and
the question,
then they could kill each other.
Is this well? But the thing about it, because like if that claim is true, that he is actually that man's father, who's now way older than him, then does that also mean that his claim that he's Jesus is true? Because that would send that lady over the fucking top.
Yep.
And it could just go from there. And if it is, or is the psychologist in on it? Is he in on whatever this experiment is? Then you could have one of them go, "Oh, I get it. This is a psychological experiment.
Yep.
This is a study you're running. You're testing us. We're your subjects," and be mad or interested or curious. But instead, the emotional punch of this movie is the old man psychologist is like, "Holy shit, you're my dad who abandoned me as a child.
And
you
dies.
haven't aged a fucking day. Oh my God, that means all these implications for reality and God and my life and my practice and my discipline and everything. My whole world is crumbling down." And he's an old man with a weak heart, and he has a heart attack and dies, and he's taken out on in a body bag on a stretcher, and the guy gets in his truck and he takes the girl from the college and they drive off together, and all of that happens in the last 5 minutes.
And the reaction of John.
Totally flat.
What reaction? He has no reaction. Now,
Well, she goes, "I guess that's the first time you've seen one of your adult children die."
Yeah.
He goes, "Yeah."
Want to
And
come
I
with?
guess if you've been around for 14,000 years, you've seen so much death that nothing means anything to you. But then why does he stop and want her to get in the car with him?
Yep. Doesn't work. This film doesn't work. Like I said, I was mildly interested there at one point, and it lost me again. And I was just like, please.
The movie stops because this writer wants to make a kind of universalist pitch. Right? Like the movie stops to become an actual sermon.
Yeah.
And the sermon is this sort of post-religious, broadly secular, liberal idea of the world in which all religions are the same,
Mm-hmm.
and it all is just about love, and it's all great, and it's all whatever, which is very much a product of a bygone era. And so that doesn't play very well at all. Like, well, the myth of this and that. The other issue with it, and this is on the more technical side, is somebody who is a biblical literalist, like this woman claims that she is, who only reads the King James Version, would also be a fundamentalist.
Yeah.
Who would believe in a 7-day creation and would believe in the archangels and would believe in the 3 wise men and would believe all this, because the vast majority of what I think she's broadly supposed to be like a evangelical Protestant Christian. None of them read the King James because it's a very outmoded, inaccurate translation. So that feels to me like an old person who is remember Sunday school from 70 years ago, who has no lived experience of Christians trying to write what a Christian fundamentalist would be. Because here's the other thing. If she's a Christian fundamentalist, what is she doing at that university drinking Johnny Walker Green with a bunch of other secular humanists?
It's a really good point. And to your point just there, so Jerome Bixby apparently wrote this script in the 60s, and he completed
That
it
makes perfect sense.
On his deathbed in 1998, and it was his son who got this over the line.
He finished it in 1998 or didn't finish it?
No, he did finish it in 1998, completed it on his deathbed, but he never saw the film. He died almost a decade before.
So he started in the 60s and kept working on it off and on, right?
Yep.
And then eventually he got to the finish line because he died. And so then his son was like, this is an input. Yeah. That makes like, okay, yeah. It's a dated message. It's the idea of like the Buddha and Jesus, and it's all peace and love, man. Like that's his message. And it's like, okay. And all the religious stuff that comes along with it, that's just humanity. And we got to look at the big picture and I could summarize the teachings of Jesus in 100 words. And it's well, actually, Jesus summarized his teachings in less than that because they said, Jesus, how would you summarize your teachings? And he said, love God and love your neighbor as yourself. So he's already summarized it in less than 100 words. And like, that's the problem with Jesus. And that's the problem with writing about Jesus. You either have to, there's no good is going to come out of it unless you have thoroughly studied the Greco-Roman Empire, Second Temple Judaism, Enochian literature, Hebrew, Greek, and Aramaic, which most screenwriters haven't.
Hey, Scotty. Jesus, man.
Unless that's the case, you have nothing to add to this story that's going to appeal to anybody by invoking the name of Jesus. And I think the same thing could have been accomplished had he just said that he was Peter, one of the apostles. I know the Gospels are kind of mythology because that would even have been a more interesting wrinkle. I know the Gospels are mythology because I wrote one of them.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, you could have picked from anything that was, and he makes allusions to Columbus and Van Gogh. He's got a painting there.
That's the other thing too. How many fucking guys has this guy meet?
Yeah, like, you know, it's pretty hard to get around the world 100 years ago, let alone 2,000 years ago.
And the movie, what's inconsistent about it is it's so good because they'll ask him a question. He's like, I don't know. The world was hard to get around, or I don't know. Yep. Communication was small, or
so when it suits
yeah. I'm just an ordinary guy who's lived a long time. I'm not a genius. I'm not immortal. I'm not supernatural. I don't even know why I am the way that I am. You're like, okay, that's interesting. That's interesting. That's interesting. And then it's like, but I did fly on the Pinta, or it was on the Pinta de Santa Maria with Columbus, and he was a swell guy, which we actually know he isn't.
It's not true. Yep.
No, because the Spaniards were like, this is the most savage bastard we've ever, like, he's committing genocide in our name. We got to put a stop to it. You know, and then it's like, but I also studied with the first Buddha, and then went down and became Jesus. And it's
thereof.
Like, yeah, it's too fucking much. You can only pick like
it was Sumerian historical. And
yeah. I knew Hammurabi personally. Great guy. Like, oh God. Get the fuck out of here.
Can I ask?
It's somebody who has a cursory knowledge of history from a century ago. So it's a lot of propaganda.
This is the Forrest Gump of religious history films.
Yes.
Basically, he happens to be everywhere and contributed to everything in a meaningful way, and it's all down to John / instead of Gump.
Yeah, and his explanation of how his name evolved into Jesus is fundamentally wrong.
Oh, okay.
Everything about that, literally everything he says about that is bullshit, which made me then wonder, is the biology part's bullshit? Is the anthropology, right? Is it all just sounds right? But if you actually have any technical knowledge, you're like, wait a minute, Cro-Magnon didn't live during that period, you know? I don't know.
One second here, then this is an aside, and obviously I think we're landing on the same page with this one. So, you know, getting the ship back on course. But what's the deal with the greatest American hero and the girl, the student he brings?
That is, I believe, his student who he's fucking.
Right. Like, once again, what is going on with the depiction of professionals in films that we watch, Jason? Like, you can't. That would be against so many laws and regulations.
What year did this movie come out?
2007.
Okay. I was at university before this, but not long before this.
Mm-hmm.
One of my creative writing professors was known. He drove a red sports car. He wore leather jackets. He was all gray, had a ponytail.
Oh my God. I think I know this guy.
A little bit more artsy fartsy though. Like you'd almost expect him to wear a beret more so than a motorcycle helmet, but he loved fast sports cars. And he basically went from graduate or teaching assistant to teaching assistant to teaching assistant. And he would have a relationship with them for however long they were in the program. He would then start hooking up with the next one. And then when they got to be a certain age, he would discard
the
original for the
them.
next one.
Okay.
Yes, 100%. And I lived through at least in the 4 years I was there, at least 2 of them. And he had been doing this for the entire 30 years that he'd been a professor. There was just a train of women that he had. He would move in with them. Or they'd move in with him.
He would move in with them.
Oh, yeah.
How did this... Okay, so having worked at universities for most of my career, back then, you're right, when I was studying, and contrary to popular belief, at least on this show, I'm not 80 years old, so I was...
you were actually contemporaries with Jerome Bixby. You're actually a Cro-Magnon man who's been alive for 14,000 years.
14,000 years. If only I wasn't aging. No, but I was around the turn of the millennium. I was studying my master's, and there was a lecturer that was teaching me who was renowned for. I remember once walking up with my then girlfriend who was in the class with me, and he literally, as we walked down the corridor, he's casually sitting on a desk outside the classroom, welcoming people in. And as we walked down the corridor towards us, he did this to her.
Oh my God.
Like looking her up and down, like in the most gross kind of way possible.
This was your then girlfriend?
Yeah, we were walking in together as well. So.
Right in front of you, he was just like, hey now. Wow.
And I had a friend of mine was one of his students. He's a he. And he was standing at his office window, literally looking out over like this amphitheater at the university I studied at, where it's the middle of summer and lots of people are out enjoying soaking up the sun. Obviously, with not many clothing items on, enough for university, but short sleeves and tank tops and whatever else.
Yeah.
And shorts and short skirts and blah blah blah. And he's like, Brandon, he was American. Brandon, you know what I like most about being here in Australia? Australian summers.
I mean,
so look, I do understand they existed.
Does Australia have the best looking women in the world? There's an argument to be made.
He never moved in with them, and it was like he might have been having relationships, but it was all on the QT even 25 years ago. Now that kind of shit gets you fired quicker than you can believe.
Rightfully so.
Because it's a power, abuse of power. But he just brought this girl to this gathering of all his contemporaries, all his peers, all the people that like John, inexplicably that like John, give his personality of a cardboard box, but he's just there with kind of nothing actually happens between them. So I was like, maybe I'm reading this wrong, but she's sitting too close to him. He's way too old for her. Like gross.
Yeah, I agree. It is gross. I think that this is a really interesting concept that botches this ending, and the Jesus part is a step too far.
Yeah.
You can sell me on one ludicrous thing. You can sell me that this is a caveman who's been alive for 14,000 years, or you can sell me that this is someone who history misconstrued as the Son of God, who is the source historical Christ. You can't try to sell me that the historical Christ is also a caveman. I don't care if you are, what's this guy's name, Jerome Bixby or Ridley fucking Scott, because they've both tried to do it, and I'm tired of it. Stop trying to make Jesus happen. It's never going to happen. This Jesus thing's never going to catch on. What do you think it's like being in a situationship with Jesus Christ? When his whole pitch to her, his whole pitch to that one woman, she's like, I love you.
He goes,
like, I know. Yeah. I'm fond of you, but sorry, baby, I can't commit. I'm a 14,000-year-old caveman.
But now you know that. Do you want to jump in my car? I've just killed one of my sons. Do you want to come for a ride?
Yeah, go wherever with me because I'm also the Christ. Like, okay, that's literally how every cult starts.
Yes.
Where some guy goes, I'm 14,000 years old, and I'm Buddha, and I'm Jesus, and I'm Columbus, and I'm all of these things. Now it's time for all of you to suck my dick. Like that's the progression of cults.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to sleep with each other, but I'm allowed to sleep with all of you. That's the way this works.
We all have to practice celibacy unless it's my dick going in your... Yeah. All right. 7.25 out of 10. I give it a
7.25 out of 10. What? Who are you? What have you done with Jason? You've just savaged this film for the last 20 minutes, and now you're giving me a 7.25 out of 10.
I really liked Tony Todd in it, and I really liked the first, let's say, hour of it, maybe 45 minutes. I thought it did a really good job of the logic of it. I wasn't thinking of the visuals because the visuals aren't interesting or good. but the logic of it they honestly, like, he really wrote himself into some corners by saying, "Oh no, I'm not immortal. Oh no, this, that, whatever." Now, unfortunately, he had no way of getting himself out of it, so that's where the movie fell apart. But
okay, well, this is the worst of the week for me. It's 5 out of 10. Hated it. Did not like it at all. Brought nothing to the table other than a Tony Todd performance and a brief moment where I thought this might actually break out into something interesting. It did not. Do not bother. 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, an absolute fucking joke.
You know what? I will say this is eerily close to like Secular Human. Like I don't know. You've probably never seen a faith-based movie like these Christian movies on PureFlix.
I've seen one where apparently the rapture happens, but it made no sense whatsoever, and it's one of my most liked reviews on Letterboxd. Everyone's just like, "Yeah, this film does make no fucking sense. What a bunch of shit."
That's all of them. But yeah, but David A.R. White is like the Keanu Reeves / Spike Lee, I don't know, of Christian faith-based movies. This 100% feels like a faith-based movie for atheists. I don't know.
Yeah, it is weird.
That's what it feels like, where it's like, yeah, it's like, let's get a bunch of archetypes in a room and have them debate. Yeah, it's an apologetics film for atheists.
And I have to assume that David Lee Smith's performance was deliberate, but he is so wooden.
It has to be, because when he then tries to talk them out of it, he goes, "Okay, everybody off the train." He actually shows personality. And for a second you go, "Oh shit, was he just fucking with him the whole time?" Because he's so believable in selling that he's normal that you're like, yeah, this has to be a stylistic choice of, oh, well, if a man's been around for 14,000 years, he's kind of seen everything that there is to see.
Yeah.
And so he's kind of over it.
Do you want to know about the sequel?
I know that there's a sequel, and I know that it's not at 100%.
The Man from Earth, Holocene is directed once again by Richard Schenkman, with a screenplay by he and Emerson Bixby, so I believe Jerome Bixby's son. And John's back, and the Greatest American Hero is back. But that's all.
Okay, here's the problem. What year did that movie come out?
10 years later, 2017. So I guess maybe
he's aged.
Well, have they used CG to?
No, they have not. No. He's going to be 10. He's going to look so much older. This is a one and done. This should have been condensed to a Twilight Zone episode 70 years ago, and it would have been interesting.
7.25 out of 10. What the fuck?
7.25 out of 10. It's short, and I liked it.
Well, they're all short. You can't use that as a defense of the film.
That's true. I don't know. Maybe it's not a 7.25, but I liked it more than some of the other ones.
All right. So where's that rank then for you? 7.25 out of 10? Oh, so okay. Well, I guess we know what your worst of the week is. Here we go. We're all over the shop today, except for
no, worst of the week.
Oh, so it's your fourth of the week is what's coming. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
What was your score? What was your rate? Yeah, this is your worst of the week.
Worst of the week, 5 out of 10.
Okay, well, 5's higher than I thought you were going to give, because I'm just people sitting around talking in a room. I thought he's going to give this a 0.
I hated it.
All right,
but I recognize the ideas there were some interesting ideas here, just not well handled.
No, 2013's Coherence, was it well handled? One of these people's lives and careers wasn't well handled. Actually, 2 people.
Oh, 2?
It's got an 89% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Amir's bringing Laurie to dinner.
Amir's a total jackass.
Everyone else still not have service?
I got 0.
On the news, they're talking about the comet.
Yeah.
Wheeler's comet.
After it passed, people get lost. They would end up in the wrong home. What? And they keep telling people that this can happen.
The chicken tastes like tuna. It must be Miller's comet. The whole neighborhood is out of power, except for a house about 2 blocks up.
Mike, is that door locked?
I'll check it.
Hey, stay away from the door.
I can't stand this. I'm going to go see what's going on. I'm sorry, but I'm going.
See that?
Oh my God.
This is bad. This is really bad.
What's the box?
That was at the other house.
Oh my God. Baby, what did you see?
Hugh, what did you see?
We don't even belong here.
Everybody knew about
We
this.
thought you knew.
He
told us.
Everybody knew about this except me.
We have to just get through the night, okay?
We are not from this house. We are visitors.
I'm crossing all kinds of boundaries.
I don't want to be stuck here.
What is going on?
When you say
This film was directed by James Ward Burkett, written by James Ward Burkett, story by James Ward Burkett and Alex Mangione. It was released at the Austin Fantastic Fest in September 19th, 2013, in the United States, June 20th, 2014, on a budget of $50,000. It made $139,000.
That's a profit.
Wow, I guess, yeah. A dinner party fractures in more ways than one after a comet passes overhead.
Coherence, ironic?
Okay.
Or if you prefer, Schrodinger's cat, a former Miss Arkansas, and Xander from Buffy make a lie out of the title of this film as cause and effect goes awry.
What do I want to say about this one?
This one's hard. This is weird. And we need to go in with this. You're about to upset David Powell. David Powell from the We Watch the Thing podcast fucking loves this movie. He's interviewed the director. He is perhaps the world champion proponent of Coherence. Give us more. Not that's going to change anything you're going to say. I just want you to be aware of it as you say it.
I dreaded rewatching this. This is the
Why?
one on the list that I dragged my fucking feet. Because there's a better version of this movie, and it's called The Invitation.
That movie rocks.
A bunch of unlikable LA assholes come to a dinner party, and if you just like, this is the most common thing in the world. I said it on one of these other movies. Especially when you have a limited budget, you stick people in a space and you just scratch under the surface, and all of their false faces and false fronts and everything that they, if you get beyond what we do to be performatively civil with one another in our relationships and in our friendships, you find that we are savages, effectively. It doesn't matter if it's Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. It doesn't matter whether or not it's
The Mist,
Cube, The Mist. If it's that the fucking Succession, whatever the fuck, it doesn't really matter. Like, you scratch just enough under the surface, and people are territorial,
people
insecure
assholes.
Animals. People are assholes, and they're dishonest to themselves. And because they're not honest to themselves, they're incapable of being honest with anybody in their life. The problem with making a movie like that is it can go one of two ways, where you go, yeah, that feels true to life. And it's hard to get through, but it still feels true to life. And it's interesting. And there's another way that you do it, and you go, yeah, it may be true to life, but these people suck so bad.
Yep.
I want to be anywhere but in this room with them. And not in a thriller, entertaining way, in a, like, Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf is a great version of this. These are the worst fucking people you've ever. But what you have a sympathetic younger couple, or at least people who you think are sympathetic, who are stuck in this situation with two of the worst human beings in the most toxic marriage that has ever existed. And so you're sympathetic for that young couple, and you're going, oh God, get them out of there. And that keeps you engaged. When like one of the main characters is smarmy ass Xander from fucking Buffy, who's a real life nightmare and prick, and who only ever played nightmare prick characters.
Yeah.
It's just miserable to sit through. And on top of that, the one thing I'll give primer over this one is you don't have an instance where a character goes to a car, where a character happens to be related to a theoretical physicist who happens to have written a book that isn't exactly relevant, but happens to have notes in it about the exact thing that they're experiencing by a fluke because of a comet. And then he reads it out loud. And then because he knows the audience isn't going to be able to understand it, he goes to Wikipedia, basically, and reads the Schrodinger's cat thing and goes, this is basically what this is. But it really isn't. It's not Schrodinger's cat because it's not as if, every time I see a doppelganger, one of us ceases to exist and I merge with the doppelganger or whatever. There's all kind of doubles running around. And then like, I've watched this through twice now. Yep, and this time I was like, let me fucking track this. There is no way to track it. Because all of a sudden, in the third act, they go, you're not from this house, and I'm not from this house. The only people from this house are this person and that person, but I'm from another house, and you're from a different house, and da-da-da-da. How do they know that? And why? Like, I get the breakdown of, like, what was in your box? A napkin, this thing, that thing. All that shit should have been interesting reveals.
It wasn't.
But instead, it's just dialogue. And you go, wait a minute. So I watched those three characters walk out of this room, go into the dark together, walk back into the house together, and now all of a sudden, two of them are somebody else? When did the switch happen?
One half of the problem I have with this film you are describing very, very eloquently, so thank you.
That's all I got to say.
The other part of the problem I have with this film is their elevation to freaked out makes zero fucking sense.
No.
I understand that you would be like, what? That's me standing over there. Hang on. But I know me. I'm not about to go and try and murder someone else just because it's me standing there. Like, okay, this is intriguing.
That's the craziest.
It doesn't make
leap.
Any sense. Their reaction.
It makes zero sense.
All right, look.
Why would
there not be a discussion?
Believe? Yes.
Right. Okay. Hey, me. Look, we need to make sure we're with the right people because somehow this is all going to go back. Hopefully, it will all go back to normal. So, can we have a discussion around this and just make sure you're my people? We haven't traded here because it looks like we're getting mixed up here. Yeah, okay, you version of me, that's a good idea. Let's sort this shit out with a conversation. But somehow, mainly through Xander's character, we shouldn't call him Xander, through, what's his name? Mike. Is it Mike?
Yeah, Mike.
Yeah. He's like, I know what I'm like when I've had a skin full of piss. I need to murder me before I get murdered by me. What?
He's like, I'm only half joking, but yeah, I'm going to go kill myself. And it's like, wait, what? We should kill them all. And you're like
and even the main character,
the immediate paranoia makes no sense.
No,
you would be more dumbfounded.
Yes,
like okay, like again, fuck. Like I hate to be like, here's a better movie because I know that
that's what we do here. Let's be honest.
The logic falls apart of that movie too. It doesn't bother me as much as it does you. But in Jordan Peele's Us,
yeah, definitely
they don't meet the normal family. Well.
Yep.
Well, you know what I mean.
Our
protagonist family.
Yep.
They don't immediately assume that their doppelgangers are going to try to kill them.
No.
They see them in shadow and they're like, there's a weird family out here. Hey, do you guys need help? Or, okay, well, you're not answering me. Like, I'm going to call the cops or like, just get out of here. And then when they like reveal like, oh, we're you, your first reaction would be shock.
Yes.
Your second reaction would be try to communicate and negotiate. Like, what the hell's happening here? Why would you immediately assume that like we went to that house, we left a note, we came back, they left a note. The note is polite and courteous.
Yes.
And now we got to kill him. Well, you're like, what the fuck are you talking about?
This film seems to want to play in a world where in the first exchange with the opposite side, like us, they try to kill them.
Yes.
And they fail. Then everything after that would make sense to a degree. But it doesn't. It's just a case of, well, we're being, as you say, we're completely conversing. Why are we getting so bent out of shape about this?
Okay, so David Powell is going to jump in here, and here's what he's going to say. The twist of the movie is not that the Emily that we've been following kills two of her other selves that assumes the other Emily's life because she's got a slightly better life than her. That is like a twist. The real twist is it effectively comes down to like Star Trek. Remember, in Star Trek, like they have like the evil alternate universes versions of themselves, or Bill and Ted, the evil robot S's.
Evil S's. Yep.
The characters that we've been following the whole time are the evil ones from the alternate universe. The other group are the good guys.
but they're still polite with their note that they write initially and all the rest of that stuff. I'm just gonna go have a look over here, but they're not evil enough.
But that's supposed to be the big heady twist.
They needed to be
big. But I'm telling you, the big heady twist of this movie is you're watching this from the perspective of the evil versions of these people,
right,
the bad versions of them. That's why their lives are shit. That's why they cheat on their wives. That's why the other Hugh is doesn't know, because his Beth and his Mike did not have an affair. Even though that Mike says in every iteration, I fucked your wife.
Yes, he does say I've done it. Yep.
Yeah, but of course he says that because that's the evil Mike. He's on Roswell. That's also supposed to be the tipping point because he was on Buffy and not Roswell. So that's supposed to be a tip to us of this is an alternate universe.
I didn't know that.
Not.
Okay.
Right.
Didn't realize that.
Yep. Yeah, because he was never on Roswell.
No, I knew that he wasn't on Roswell.
He claims.
Yes.
Yeah. So that is supposed to be to us, be wait a minute, no, you're the guy from Buffy. Oh, but he's not playing himself. He's playing a character. So it's meant to be obtuse, but it's a way of them tipping their hat.
Evil us's, right? If we, I understand where you're coming from, and that does make sense, and slightly improves things for me. But these evil us's aren't murdering homeless people for the change in their pockets. They don't have a diabolical scheme to take over the world.
They're just slightly shittier versions
They're just
of
shitty
the other
people. They're well, I'll fuck my.
That's why
my friend's wife, or I'll fuck my friend's husband. But murder is a long step above adultery.
Correct. That's why evil Emily, when she runs into the red light Kevin.
Oh, right.
He realizes it's not her.
Yes.
And if you notice, he immediately cops to it. And he goes, "No, we're great, honey. We're fine."
Yep.
I don't know what got into Lori or Lauren or whatever her name is, but yeah, because that version of him told the truth. That Lori came onto me in the hallway and she kissed me, but I'm not into her at all. But our Kevin lied about it, right? So we're stuck with the liars and the emotionally unhealthy people, and the people who even if it would just be easier just to tell the truth because it isn't even that big of a deal. They just refuse to. They refuse to be decent people.
Okay, your current girlfriend's sensitive about your ex-girlfriend. The ex-girlfriend makes a pass at you, especially when there's so many other people walking around the house. Why wouldn't you just go, look, she made a move. I told her to get fucked. Okay, I'm really sorry.
Which he did.
We'll leave. We will leave now, or as soon as we can, as soon as this is over. Okay, we'll never see her again. That's how any mature person would handle it.
But he's not mature because he's the evil Kevin.
He's evil. Yeah. But evil Emily and evil everyone, I don't buy the raising stakes because there's no reason for those stakes to raise. That's what I'm trying to say.
I think two things are true at the same time. I think the intention is that we're stuck with the asshole versions of these characters and the good versions are in the other houses. Or at least the one house is the good.
So we're on the worst timeline here, basically, according to Community.
Or right. This is the darkest timeline. Yep. We're following the darkest timeline characters. None of their lives have worked out. They're all fucked up. Blah 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 blah. But at the same time, for that reveal or that twist, for that aha moment where we go, oh, they were our guys were the bad guys the whole time. For that to really land, you actually have to nail those escalation of stakes. Because they're just murderous assholes straight from the jump. And then what's really weird, what really bothered me is after they've already talked about fucking over the other group and doing all this dastardly shit, one of them, Emily, is well, wait a minute. I don't want to accuse you of anything, Beth, but did you possibly put ketamine in our food?
That's right. Yep.
That should have been the very first conclusion that they came to.
Yep.
When they saw their doppelgangers, they should have freaked the fuck out, ran back in the house, and then somebody should have tried to rationalize it and go, oh my God, and that could have been an accusation. Beth, you dosed us. You dosed us with ketamine. We're paranoid. We're having all these. Yeah, we just got to ride this out. Let's just stay in the house. We ride it out, and then you escalate from there, and then you escalate from there. And then you put them in such a state of desperation and paranoia that they have, one of them is we got to stop them before they stop us. And then somebody else is no, wait, that's insane. And then they go through with it. What if they murdered the good versions of themselves? And then the big twist at the end is it's revealed, oh shit, we're the bad guys. We're the evil. That would have been something. But it's just, it's like you said, it's incoherent. It falls apart. And I think a big thing that has to do with that is the movie was largely improvised.
Right. I did read this somewhere, and maybe I actually heard it when Dave was talking to the director about it.
So on that level, like it's good because I do think the improvisation sounds very natural, and like I want to give praise to all the actors of like, yeah, this, but at the same time, that timeline, that beat sheet of escalation of stakes, it just doesn't make any sense.
It seems like it was more a product, this film, of an experimental desire to create what could I do with a bunch of people. And I just
I got a bunch of actor and filmmaker friends,
and let's just do something on the fly.
We're all really good at.
We'll make it up as we go along. The kind of script.
Yes,
and that's what it feels like here. And so things don't quite connect to each other as much as you want. I'd love to know if it was all ad libbed, if you will, or most of it was ad libbed or improvised. How much of the shooting script was there? Like, surely they had to get to a beat or a plot point by the end of this conversation. Surely it wasn't just, there had to be something he brought in as the overarching.
I think that I found an interview with him, not David Powell's interview, but an interview with him from a number of years ago. And what he said, what he did was like, he had a map with like arrows and character names of like, in his mind, how many houses there were and like what the condition of those houses were. Like one house had already descended into violence. One house was like very peaceful and was just like minding their own business and didn't even realize that this coherence
Which
happened.
kind of where she goes at the end, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And, and like there's all these variations, and he had that kind of mapped out, and he had it in his mind of like, oh, these characters end up here, and this character ends up here, and this, that, whatever. But in terms of, I think, scene to scene, it was like, we got to get to almost like Curb Your Enthusiasm would do it, where it's like, this is who your character is, this is what motivates them, and this is what has to happen by the end of the scene. Go. And that was it.
Yep.
And on that level, like, hell, man, very successful because $50,000, you got a bunch of your actor friends to shoot this over a couple of weekends. Good on you. I think it looks reasonably well. Like, I think it's shot well. It's obviously like a bunch of talented LA people got together and made like a whole movie like you and I would in our backyard, except for the fact that they're like professionals.
Yes, and I think that it looks so much better than the last movie, than The Man from Earth, that it probably gets a natural step up from me as well in terms of score and overall appreciation. Like this film, at least, I was confused in moments, but I was never bored.
Had you ever seen it before?
I had watched it on David's recommendation a few years ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago.
You're like, this guy's full of shit.
Oh, well, words to that effect.
No, you should have put a bully and said, I'm sorry, I couldn't finish it. I had diarrhea that day.
So, well, he loves it. It's okay. And I don't think I've moved far from it's okay. Like that, you better explaining to me that, okay, they're meant to be the evil ones. And I get that they become bad through the
evil is probably too strong of a word, but they're the shitty versions of themselves. I
thought the stress had done this to them. They'd gotten worse from the stress. Again, therefore, my backtracking to, but why did you escalate so fast? But there's no reason to.
Well, because they're like, even before the phenomena happens, they're already talking shit about each other, and then Amir is bringing his friend's ex-girlfriend to a party with the rest of them. That's already shitty behavior, and we read that like we're supposed to read that as like these are just sort of selfish, shitty, 30-year-old LA types. Narcissist, and so like you can kind of see that happen, but that's why I go back to the invitation, because you get the same read off of the invitation, and you're like, oh no, what you read as LA wannabe actor, new age narcissism is they're in a fucking cult and they're going to murder the whole town.
And that film, as we've already said, is great. So
that's a great movie, man. So
one of the hidden gems.
What's your score? What's your rank for this one?
Well, I had this as my third of the week and I had it as a 6 out of 10.
I give it a 6.5, which I think I like it less than you, and I give it a higher score, but it's only my number 4.
Yeah, your scores have been ludicrously high this week. Maybe you've got that lens on I was talking about, and it's just multiplied by an extra 0.8 or whatever it is to get your scores up higher.
Yeah. I want to be a little bit merciful.
I am a loony.
Coming in dead last for me is Primer, which I gave a 6 out of 10.
Wow.
Coming in number 4, 6.5 out of 10 is Coherence. Coming in number 3, in the middle, a bungled, boring mess of a movie that I found interesting enough to put it in the middle of the pack. 7.25.
Don't understand. Go back and listen to Jason talk about that film and work out how he gives it a distinction, 72.5%.
Yeah. I mean, of all the film critics who reviewed it, I'm the sixth, and I'm saying it's not that great.
No, you're still Rotten Tomatoes. No, you haven't brought it down because you gave it over 3 stars. It's still 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, hell yeah. I've contributed to something in society. All right. El Mariachi comes in at number 2, 7.5 out of 10. And number 1, by a landslide in my mind, even though it's only
about half a point higher.
Yes. Cube, which I give an 8 out of 10.
You want to talk about lack of internal consistency? Look at Jason's list. All right.
That's right.
My number 5, the worst of the week, The Man from Earth, 5 out of 10. At number 4, El Mariachi, 5.7 out of 10. I had Coherence in the middle of the pack, number 3, 6 out of 10. Primer for me, the big mover and the big changer between our two lists, 6.4 out of 10. And actual
the prime mover.
Yes. Actual country mildness and also involving prime numbers at 1 point. Cube, 8.2 out of 10 is my best of the week and my nomination for the Vault.
You know who the prime mover is? John Oldman.
Who's John Oldman? Oh, is he the guy? He's for the man from
That's
Man from
Caveman
Earth.
Jesus.
Yeah. Oh, David Lee? No. Anyway. I guess he was. He moved everywhere he needed to be to make that story work.
Yeah. Philomena Kunk would say, we have depictions of baby Jesus and depictions of crucified Jesus. Have we ever had depictions of crucified baby Jesus?
Oh, slow down there, Tiger.
Hey, Scotty. Jesus, man.
Paul, but you're not busy talking to me about our Lord and Savior, John Oldman.
I'm busy talking to you about slasher films.
In the Body Melt episode, you talked about how the characters, like the one guy was from Neighbors, another guy was from a sitcom. Did you recognize Ren from Cube?
No. Was he in this movie too? Was it the movie?
No, he's Canadian royalty.
Oh.
The guy who gets his face burned off by acid.
Yeah, because he's the one saying, I've got a plan, and that's a really good moment again in a good film where it's like, hey, the guy seems to have his shit together, boom, dead.
Yep. He played one of the characters on the Red Green show.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
You don't know Red Green?
No. Nope.
Red Green didn't make its way to Australia?
Don't believe so.
Wow. Well, you've got a VPN. Go find yourself some Red Green episodes. That's good old fashioned, wholesome Canadian entertainment for you.
All right.
And since I live on the ass end of Canada, on a clear day I could spit into Ontario. I got Red Green over broadcast TV in the 1990s.
All right. No, I can't even find it here. Can't even find it here on his IMDb page. Sorry, his Wikipedia page.
Maybe am I mistaken? You got Australian.
Oh no, yeah, Canadian sitcom from 1993 to 2006, The Red Green Show.
Yeah, come on now. Ask Dan. Now Dan is, I think, Quebecois originally.
He is.
So I don't know if it made it to Quebec, but if it did, he knows about it.
It's a wholesome entertainment, huh? Okay.
Yeah, a lot of duct tape jokes. Do you find that funny?
I don't even know what a duct tape joke is, so no.
Do you find it funny when people get electrocuted and fall off ladders?
Oh, it's hilarious. Sounds like I need to be there front and center.
Yep. It ran for 13 years in Canada because it's cold up there and they ain't got nothing to do. There's only so much Molson you can drink and only so much hockey you can watch. It's hockey, Molson, and Red Green.
I don't know what Molson is, so I'm really don't know what Loonies, don't know what Toonies are, don't know what Molson is, don't know what Red Green is.
Wow.
Clearly, I'm not in touch with my Canadian non-roots.
Holy moly. You are as deeply ignorant about Canada as I am about Australia.
Is it July in Canada when it's July in Australia?
It actually is.
Oh, shit.
It's right. All right, Paul. Well, we'll be seeing you again in the not too distant future over in the slashers. We'll do the last quarter, I guess.
The last bit
of the 80s.
88,
last
89.
little bit. 88, 89, and of course our epilogue. We'll try to remember all the shit that we watched and give our biggest awards of the year. It's going to be a extravaganza of chainsaws and ski
on that
poles
note,
and,
biggest awards of the year. Of course, you'll need to be coming back on the countdown to do our top 10 films of 2025, Jason. So mark it in your diary.
Okay, I will do. I've been keeping the list all year long. I didn't know if you're going to have me back again.
Of course we are.
All right, sounds good, Paulie. Till next time, folks. Maybe for the last time. Binge on.